Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. This is going to be a collective reading video for the Divine Feminine. So in today's Divine Feminine reading, we are going to be channeling through some messages that Divine Feminines around the world may need to hear at this time. And there's a lot coming through right away in this reading video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this dynamic that I'm picking up on for you, Divine Feminine, where there seems to be someone or something, there's some kind of energy that doesn't really understand the way that you operate. And it's almost as though this energy is surprised by certain aspects of you because they don't quite understand you. I'm hearing they don't understand your frequency, or really just in general, this seems to be a person or energy that is very logically oriented or very much looking at things on the surface. And so when they encounter someone like you who carries a very unique kind of energy and frequency, and you are creating from that frequency, I keep getting the word magic. It's almost like you have this magic around you, so to speak, which really isn't so, I guess, mystical. I mean, you are mystical in a beautiful way, but this magic I'm referring to is the magic of your frequency. It is your alignment. You have this powerful magnetism around you. And while this person or this thing seems to be drawn to you because of that magnetism, because of that energy, it also doesn't understand it. And I get the sense of this person, I'm just going to refer to them as a person, even though I know for some of you it might be like an environment or an energy or something like that. But let's say that it's a person for the sake of this reading. So this person feels very drawn to you because of your frequency, but they also seem to have this tendency to want to almost flatten you in a way, or like gloss over you. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like they want to gloss over your magic or like the true power of your energy, or they want to somehow, I'm hearing logicize it, which of course isn't really a word, but they want to somehow create a logical explanation for why you are so magnetic or why you have pulled to you certain opportunities or successes or people into your life. But the thing is, this defies logic. It's not really about anything on the surface. It's your true value comes from the frequency that you are emitting. And I feel that this is someone who, again, doesn't quite understand that. And I almost get the sense that while they are drawn to these things about you, they don't really understand what they're drawn to because, again, they don't really conceptualize this whole idea of energy and frequency and vibration. And so they're almost trying to like write off internally why they themselves feel drawn to you, or to give some kind of logical explanation for it. But it's such an energy thing. And so I'm sensing that this person may come in and on the one hand, they may compliment you or adore you or admire you or want to connect with you. But because they don't actually appreciate and respect the true source of your magnetism, you may feel like they're overwriting you, almost like they're trying to overwrite who you are or how you operate because they don't understand those things. I feel you may find yourself like trying to, and I saw the number 444, trying to over-explain yourself or your methods or your way of operating to this person, or almost like trying to justify why you do things in a certain way. But again, they actually really respect and admire you. They just don't really understand what they are respecting about you. And in fact, it's almost like they're respecting you on the surface, but denying the core of things. That's what I'm getting. Like they're denying that your true value just comes from your essence, from who you are, like beneath everything else. They're kind of in denial of that because it doesn't make logical sense to them. But at the same time, they admire you on the surface, or they see these things that you've done and accomplished, and they want to compliment you or admire you or express that admiration for you. But you feel this hollowness about it because you recognize that they're disrespecting or glossing over the source of all of those things on the surface, the source of why you are so magnetic or why you've attracted in certain things or opportunities into your life. And so I feel almost like this frustration within you. And I also get the sense, I'm hearing losing dimensions. It's almost like you are this multi-dimensional being, and this is someone who wants to kind of like lock you into certain dimensions or like define you by certain aspects of yourself while denying all of your other aspects. And this can feel really complex with this particular individual because you do feel this admiration from them. And that admiration, that respect is there, but it's like almost on the surface. And when you try to explain your multidimensional self, like all of these different aspects, it's almost like they ignore the parts of you that they don't understand. And you so crave to be understood for all that you are. Part of the reason you crave that is because that's what you give to others. You have this ability to deeply understand others. And so I feel that you crave that same understanding in return. And it almost feels as though this person may just not be capable of giving that to you right now because of where they're coming from, because of their perspective. I almost get like them trying to alter or change certain aspects of you or the way you do things. And I'm hearing the word optimizing. It's almost like they're telling you that they want to optimize you. It's like maybe they're giving you advice, or they are trying to tell you how you can make your life better or how you can do things differently. Or like if this is in the workplace, they're trying to get you to do things in a different way. And yet they admire the results that they see that you receive from your method, from your way of doing things. But it's mystical to them. They don't understand that way of operating. So it's almost like they're trying to logicize, to go back to that non-existent word, even your methods, even like your way of doing things, and give you like a new template that feels so flat to you because it feels like it's lost so many dimensions or aspects of who you are. It's almost like as the feminine, you being the feminine here, they don't respect your feminine intuition. The feminine is naturally more connected to her intuition. Now, keep in mind, whenever I use the labels divine feminine and divine masculine, these are used to describe energy dynamics, not necessarily particular genders or anything like that. And we all have a balance of both internally. So take these messages however they resonate. But I'm just getting that whenever this person tries to give you advice, logically, it seems to make sense, but it's almost like losing the soul or the core or the many different beautiful dimensions of who you are, and trying to take all of that and like turn it into a formula or turn it into something that is like, in a way, overly masculinized in the sense of being like overly structured or overly rigid, and it becomes cold in some kind of way. I'm hearing something about you trying to trust your flow, but this person not really understanding your flow, or like questioning your ability to trust your whimsy and your flow and your just way of doing things in your own magical way. There also keeps being something about this person like seeing your successes or what you've accomplished or what you've attracted or manifested or how you show up in the world, and feeling literally in awe of that, of what they can physically perceive. But again, it's like they don't respect really the core of who you are, or like maybe your story or how you got here. And I feel like they're even oblivious to the fact that they don't respect that core of you, because you may even feel conflicted when it comes to this person because you want to connect with them, or you know that they do admire you in some ways. And it's almost like you want to just overlook the ways in which they're somehow like minimizing you or flattening you. And again, that's really just like the best way I can describe it. I'm not really sure how to fully put this into words here, but it's almost like they're causing you to want to discard certain dimensions of yourself that actually really make you who you are. So those are a lot of the initial things coming up in this reading. I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee here. Now I want to go ahead and shuffle the energy oracle cards because I feel like there is maybe more to this picture or this story that I want to channel into. So let's see what comes up here. Is there more to this situation with this masculine energy that may be trying to flatten you? This doesn't have to be romantic, by the way. This could be a work situation. This could be something platonic. Take it however it connects for you. The thinking woman reversed. Yeah, there's something about you dropping into your heart and not being overly connected to your mind. And I feel someone literally putting their hand over their heart and asking themselves, what is my heart saying? Where is my heart leading me in this moment? That may actually literally be a valuable practice for you to literally like put your hand over your heart and ask yourself internally where your heart is guiding you in this moment. I just feel that this is someone who seems to not really understand. I'm hearing like creation from the heart or manifesting from the heart. We have the anxiety card here as well in the upright position. Maybe even you at times recently have been finding yourself doubting your formula. The formula, of course, not really being a rigid formula, but being your own magic, being your own energy and your own flow. And I'm hearing that part of why you may be questioning this is there is a recalibration taking place right now. And that word recalibration kept coming up really strongly this morning in my morning meditation. And I'm hearing recalibration can look like a temporary loss. And I also got messages about something being weeded out. So I feel that I may be speaking to a divine feminine here who is actually experiencing this clearing of space that is preparing you to have the biggest quantum leap of your entire life. But temporarily, as that space is cleared, it may actually look like a drop or a decline or a loss, or like things are temporarily going backwards. I'm seeing a clock moving backwards. Maybe it feels like you're going back in time in some sense, meaning like past wounds or past fears or patterns, maybe like resurfacing that you thought you'd already healed or something like that. That won't be for everyone. But what I'm really getting is like you may have anxieties coming up at this time. And you're being really reminded to drop into your heart and to do your best to quiet the mind here that may have this tendency to overthink and want to overly logicize whatever it is you're doing. Try to apply logic to something that is so soul-based and more about your personal flow and you connecting with and creating from your own heart. But I do feel there may be someone or an energy around you that is like triggering more of that anxiety or whatever because they are operating from a more logical place. I'm also hearing that message about not taking directions from people who haven't been the places that you want to go. And on the other side of that, maybe finding people who are doing the things you want to do or going the places you want to go, so to speak, and actually connecting in with their energy, whether it's like reading certain books from authors like that or consuming certain media from creators or people like that. There is also something in general about, there are so many messages coming through for you right now, Divine Feminine. Let me know, by the way, in the comments how you've been feeling this week. I always love connecting in with all of you in our community here on YouTube. And of course, if this resonates for you, I would love for you to subscribe as well. But I'm getting something else about media in general and about being a creator more than a consumer. And it kind of reminds me of the 80-20 rule, the idea of creating or focusing on yourself and productivity like 80% of the time and then consuming content 20% of the time. And so I'm hearing something about positively feeding your mind and how your personal creations can feed your own mind. So when you are in that creative process, putting things out into the world, you are actually feeding your own mind in the process of that. So there may be someone who's felt a little bit as though their anxiety or fears have actually been triggered by certain forms of media recently, or even subconsciously this can happen where you may be even subconsciously just in environments where you're absorbing a lot of that media or that content, and it somehow like infiltrates your mind a little bit and alters your frequency a little bit more into like trepidation or a little bit of fear or like this unsettled feeling. And I'm getting that it's going to be increasingly important, especially as so many people and forces in the world are vying for your attention, because your energy is your currency. Your attention is your currency. It's extremely valuable. When you give attention to something, you're essentially giving huge amounts of like value and even like abundance and money, etc., essentially in terms of energy, like to that particular thing or that person. And so it's very important to be selective about who you give your energy to, and to be sure that, just like we talk about balanced exchanges in interpersonal human relationships and the importance of having balanced energy exchanges, it's equally important that the media and the things that you're giving your attention to are also feeding you in some way in return, or bringing something of value to you, whether that's mentally or emotionally, or in terms of ideas or a sense of peace that you get from that content. So I'm going to go ahead and dive deeper into what could be coming up here as far as this anxiety and anyone else who may be attached to your energy right now, Divine Feminine. And I'm going to take a sip of my coffee here and get into that. Okay, so what else can I channel about patterns of anxiety? The heart, yeah. The heart, I see, resolves these patterns of anxiety. Drop into the heart. Ask where your heart is guiding you in this next moment. I found that a really powerful visualization exercise is to simply close your eyes and to really connect with your inner being, your inner self, and to just imagine what visualization would bring you the highest emotional energy, what would trigger the most happiness within you, even just like visualizing it or imagining it. And even if those visions are fantastical or seem impossible, it's valuable to imagine them, because it's about getting yourself into that energy, no matter what means you're using to get there. So in this case, you may be using a vision that feels impossible or fantastical just to get into the emotion of love and fulfillment and self-love and self-pride and happiness. But that's really valuable, because then once you solidify that energy and that emotion, you're going to start attracting from that very high level energy. You're going to start attracting brand new things into your life. Now, I keep getting a message that because you're going through this recalibration right now, where again, there could be things that feel like temporary setbacks or losses, it's actually very important that you focus more on what you're creating and where you're going and what you're imagining into where you're going, like how your images that you're imagining are projecting into where you're going, to focus way more on that than what is actually currently materializing around you. Because I'm hearing what is currently materializing is already past tense. If you're seeing it materialize around you, it's coming into your life based on a past frequency. And for some reason, it's reminding me of how, for example, on YouTube, if you are a YouTuber and you create videos, you don't get to see your updated like YouTube stats as far as how many views you're getting and all of that until the next day. There's like a processing time. And I'm getting that for you in your life, you're in a processing time. So but it's almost like you can get trapped in a processing loop by continuing to focus on the past, which to you looks like what is in the now. Interesting. Okay, so someone may be stuck in a processing time loop in a way because they keep staying stuck in the same frequency, because they keep focusing upon what is manifesting in the now, which is actually a reflection of the past, which keeps them in the energy of the past. But I'm hearing you break out of this loop when you start shifting your focus away from, I'm feeling this sense of like entirely not keeping track or keeping score or giving really any attention to what is materializing now, but focusing entirely on what you desire it to be and focusing all of your energy there. while not even paying attention to what is materializing in the now. And I'm hearing that if you could accomplish this shift, it would break you out of this like processing time loop that you may be in right now, because you would then be embodying a different energy, which then more processing time would pass and it would catch up to that energy, and the materializations around you, the things that manifest around you, would shift to match that newly embodied frequency. But the reason that someone here may have been stuck in a loop is because it's like, you think you're looking at the present, but you're looking at really a reflection in the now of a past energy. It kind of reminds me of like, I am definitely not an astronomer by any means, but it reminds me of if you were to go out into space and you could, I believe this is true. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've heard this information, but if you go far enough out into space and then take images of the Earth, you're seeing it in the past in a sense, right? Because you are seeing a reflection of what has already happened in the past because of how long it takes light to reach the earth. Okay, I had to pause to look this up because it was bothering me not being sure about this information. So, okay, apparently, if you were standing on the moon looking at Earth, you'd be seeing it about 1.3 seconds in the past. And from Mars, you'd be seeing it about 3 minutes in the past because light takes time to travel. Okay, so yes, I was definitely onto something there. I'm sure many of you have a lot more insight and knowledge about that. But the idea is that what you are perceiving around you is actually, I'm hearing like the light still reaching you. It's like on its way to you, still reaching you. And so you are seeing a reflection of a past energy, a past vibration that you may have been emitting, but you've already shifted. It's just that in order to fully embody that shift, you have to stop looking at the past and what keeps materializing in the now, even though it is the past, if that makes sense. You have to break yourself out of that frequency loop. And the way you do that is by imagining something entirely new, imagining it the way you want it to be, and fully focusing on that vision without paying too much attention to what seems to be unfolding in the now. So I felt like that was a message from someone's spirit guides or higher self. I also feel that that person we talked about at the beginning of the reading that seemed to be very overly logical and like trying to gloss you over with logic, this may be someone who is playing a role in keeping you stuck in this kind of processing time loop, because they may be someone who themselves is very focused on like what is in the now. And so they may have this tendency to like constantly remind you of what's showing up now, or like to constantly ask you like, oh, well, you know, what's happening for you right now, or what's happening for you today, but almost in this like overly logical way where they don't quite grasp the way in which you are literally molding your reality into place through your future visions. I keep getting such a rigidity from this person's mindset. Like they seem to be very closed-minded when it comes to the concept of like spiritual things or energy or anything like that. So let me know if that energy or person resonates for you at all. I would love to hear from you in the comments, because that felt like a very kind of interesting and sort of complex message, maybe very specific to a group of people. But I'm getting that we have the yin yang card, and I heard something about an activated twin flame. So I feel that if you are a divine feminine who has been on a twin flame journey at some point, I'm getting very strongly that your twin flame is feeling very activated right now, even if the two of you are physically separated or not in communication. So I want to channel a bit more into this. By the way, in the extended, I will look further into any further messages from your spirit guides, ancestors, or higher self, because that seemed to be coming through in the reading. There seemed to be some like higher self messages wanting to come through when it came to like your manifestation processes and your energy right now in this like processing time loop. So what can I channel from this activated twin flame? I feel like you can feel and sense them being activated. There's this mutual amplification of inspiration happening between you. I'm hearing something about how you inspire each other even at a distance. You seem to inspire each other to grow in a very limitless fashion, like to keep growing and reaching for higher versions of yourself. And again, this is still happening even if the two of you are disconnected physically, even if you're not in communication. You may have felt like a surge of motivation or inspiration recently to make positive changes in your life. And this actually could have been coming from your twin flame counterpart, because they're feeling really activated in that way, and they're feeling this really strong surge of inspiration. And I see that your twin flame counterpart, if this message is for you, they actually seem to be taking a lot of positive actions to better their life right now. I'm hearing something about them having higher energy levels after a period of burnout. Maybe that's you for some of you listening as well, or maybe you're mirroring that in some way. But I'm getting very strongly that this twin flame counterpart is feeling like a surge of energy and motivation and drive after a period of time where they seemed very like weighed down and stagnant in some kind of sense. And I'm hearing the word noticeable, like these changes are going to be noticeable to you in some way, whether you sense them like spiritually and energetically, or more likely, I feel like you may even end up actually seeing these changes in some way from this person in the physical. Like you might become privy to them making these changes or something like that. But I see with caring connections in the throat chakra, there's a lot of like warmth and affection flowing from this twin flame counterpart right now. And I also see a very open throat chakra energy. What that tells me is that there is a window where they could be reaching out or communicating or wanting to communicate. I feel like a very powerful, potent communication window is opening for twin flames right now who have been in periods of time of physical separation. Now, of course, Divine Feminine, it is entirely up to you whether or not you're open to receiving and responding to that communication if you do hear from your twin flame counterpart. But keep in mind that you may be receiving some kind of communication from them. And so again, it may be up to you whether or not you are open to that. I want to reshuffle the cards here and see if I can get any other information about this opening of communication between certain twin flame counterparts that have been in separation. So let me take another sip of my coffee. It's still early in the morning where I am. I would love to know what you're eating or drinking during this reading, if you have coffee or anything like that. Okay, so what can I channel about the communication opening between twin flames? What is this communication opening between twin flames? Okay, so I'm sensing that the masculine in this connection is gradually developing this higher level of emotional intelligence, meaning he seems to be coming more into tune with his own inner emotions, more in touch with his emotions. And I feel that this is bringing some kind of balance to the connection generally. I also feel, again, there's something very gradual about this. Like it's definitely been a long time coming, but I feel like changes within this masculine, as far as him connecting more with his emotions, that have been in process very gradually for quite some time, and maybe even very imperceptible because it has been so gradual, are going to start becoming more visible. They're going to become noticeable or like evidenced some way in the physical realm. I just keep getting that you're going to see some kind of like evidence, or you're going to notice changes within this masculine. With the King of Swords, I feel like the masculine here seems to be shifting in routine or structuring his life in a different way to focus more on something he's trying to create, do, or manifest. With the Magician card, I feel like I'm hearing he's done living in a mundane loop or a cycle where it feels like nothing's really changing, stuck in this kind of stagnant energy. I see him actually wanting to create a vision for what he wants for himself and his life, and wanting to build routine and structure around that vision to manifest it into a reality. And so if you're feeling on your end, Divine Feminine, a surge of energy and motivation, you may be feeling this masculine's surge of motivation in his own life. I'm getting something about fire or fire sign energy here, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Yeah, I also feel the masculine coming up here has been in a state of deep isolation, but this has been isolation for the purpose of activation through the lessening of distractions. That's what the guides are saying here. Like by putting this masculine in some kind of space of isolation, it's actually pushing him to be activated further because there are or at least there are a lot fewer external distractions because of that isolation. I'm hearing something about the full moon as well. I don't know if the most recent full moon was powerful for your connection, or maybe the next full moon is when you'll be receiving some kind of communication or movement here of some kind. I really feel with the Two of Cups that what this masculine is ultimately moving towards, although many of these changes seem to be in his personal life, is towards some kind of opening of another potential union window. And I'm hearing that between the two of you, many windows of union have opened up in the past, and every other time, either it has still felt imbalanced, or maybe you started to move through that union window with this masculine and then had to set boundaries or pull back because they were still reacting or engaging with you in wounded ways, and you had to love yourself enough to withdraw. But I'm hearing that windows keep seeming to open every so often between the two of you. This is very common in twin flame connection. These union windows will open up energetically, which are like potentials of time that make it more easy for twin flames to connect and to come into physical unions. And I see another one of these opening up for you, and that seems to be what the masculine is now preparing himself for. The difference is I really feel like this time, as opposed to previous union windows that may have opened, this time he actually seems to be really actively preparing himself and trying to take a lot of positive actions around the time of this window. So it could open up some kind of opportunity for a form of reconnection in the physical if there has been a separation. But of course, that will entirely be up to you, Divine Feminine, whether you are open to that window or whether you are choosing a different form of romantic connection or choosing to live more independently. And only you can really know through your intuition what those right answers are for you. But if you would like more information on this, in the extended reading on Patreon and YouTube memberships, we will be diving deeper into this. So I will be talking about this twin flame union window that seems to be opening up collectively, what that could mean for you and your connection, more on what these positive changes may look like that the masculine seems to be making here. And I will also be channeling into any other energies, people, or situations that may be connecting with you at this time, Divine Feminine. So those could be romantic situations, friendships, people from your past, opportunities, etc. So all of that further information is in our extended reading where I will be heading to next. You can join the extended readings either on YouTube memberships or Patreon. They are identical readings on both places. And when you sign up for a membership, you get access to 3 new exclusive videos every single week, channeled on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So all of that information is below in the pinned comment and description box. Subscribe if this video resonated for you so you never miss it when I post new content, and turn on notifications so YouTube lets you know right away whenever I do post a new video that could be relevant to your life or your spiritual journey. Otherwise, I am sending you all huge amounts of love and light energy. Have an amazing day, and I will connect with you here again in the next video.